Hey everyone, welcome to my channel. It's Farouche and this is your Pluto in Aquarius Tarot and Astrology All Sign reading. I'm excited to be here with you guys today to introduce this very important subject. We're going to cover a general overview of what this energy represents, and then I will go through 3 important dates in mostly February that are going to really help this energy grow. And then we will do an all sign tarot and astrology reading for every single sign. Sorry I've been away for a while, but I'm back now. I've been away because I've been filming videos for the members and they've been filmed live, but if you were not here, those videos went to members only. I'm not, nor was I ever going to do that forever. The reason I did that was because I had to film members only videos, and that was my maximum availability at the time. But I'm really glad to be back, and I missed a lot of you guys, most of you guys, and I'm really happy to be back to share this with you. So I thought I would start this change in energy by kind of drawing a general card, a 9 spread card. This isn't for any sign in particular, but when we talk about the astrology, then maybe we can refer to it. So you have, I'm just going to tell you the cards, and then if you are inspired or if you have an observation, share that with us in the comments, or I'll connect it to this if it's on my mind. But there's a lot for me to remember today to share with you, and I'm excited. Okay, hey girl, hey. Okay, so we have the 6 of Swords, the Page of Swords, the Hermit. This is going to be significant. And then we have the Empress, the 7 of Swords in the middle. That's the moon in Aquarius. That's what I have. If you've never seen one of my videos, I have a moon in Aquarius. So I guess I'm an expert on all things Aquarian. I like to think so anyway. So we have the 7 of Swords at the center, 6 of Wands, 9 of Swords, King of Cups, and the Wheel of Fortune, Jupiter at the end. Jupiter's going to show up a lot in our astrology, so stay tuned for that. Okay, so like I said, what I'm going to do first, I'm a little rusty to do this, but be patient with me. So first we're going to talk about the general astrology. It's a very brief overview. We'll do more deep dives in the future, but this is just to get you acquainted with Aquarius in Pluto in Aquarius. And then I'll give you the 3 dates. I'll show you some charts, and then we'll do a sign-by-sign reading for all signs. This is a general public video. It's not going anywhere, and I hope you enjoy it. So I thought to myself, there's a lot of information about Pluto in Aquarius out there right now, and to be honest, a lot of it is a mundane astrology, which is relevant. It's an outer planet, makes sense. But I wanted to give you guys more of a feel for what this transit represents, because I think it's really helpful to look at the astrology moving forward and understand what to look for so you see it yourself. Okay, so I identified 3 themes that are very helpful to look for at the beginning of this transit to understand how things are evolving. And this is a really good sign. I'm really optimistic about Pluto in Aquarius, but we'll explain that in a minute. Okay, so my number 1 point is, in order to understand the shift of Pluto in Capricorn into Pluto in Aquarius, is to ask yourself, what is the world missing and what are you missing in your life? What I mean by that is, what is the massive life thing that is missing in the world right now? Is it environmental damage? Is it food insecurity? Food insecurity has become a major problem. That means not enough food for everyone because of the way that things are organized and the shift and the decoupling from into the multipolar world? Or is it the wars that are happening seemingly everywhere? So we've seen all of these things come true, and I feel like Pluto in the Aquarius is the antidote to some of the biggest hardships that the world is facing. It is a very lucky transit because the 11th house is the house of good luck. It is the joy of Jupiter, and so therefore brings good luck with it. So as Pluto enters Aquarius, essentially it's moving into the Aquarian ruled 11th house based on a general chart. So what is the world lacking? But you can also ask yourself, what am I lacking? By the way, today we're not going to talk about mundane astrology. That's like world predictions and so forth. I really want to make this visceral for you, which means you see how that plays out in your life. Because I think with Pluto in Aquarius, the quicker that you are to adjust to what is happening, the quicker that you understand how things are changing and how to find yourself in this change, the more successful you will be. For example, when Pluto entered into Capricorn, the people who understood what the financial systems were doing, like Bitcoin, they made tons of money, right? Pluto and Capricorn. The people that were with it early on were really, really successful. Likewise, if you understand the energy that Pluto in Aquarius is bringing, you will be very successful to adopt it. Okay, so we have, what is your life lacking? And this is in the context of Pluto in Capricorn, Pluto in Aquarius. So Pluto in Capricorn, what is it? We just talked about it. Money, power, kind of centralization of power, exploitation of power to make money. So if you could have positioned yourself in that system, in that situation, then you could have made a lot of money through those 15 years or 14 years. Now, what is Pluto in Aquarius? Well, we know some of the common things that are said, technology, human rights. And I think one of the things that is often forgotten is that it is about social connections and groups of people. So one of the biggest things that is changing for us personally is our relationship to others. And we'll talk about that a lot today, so I won't delve into that, but just all of those things. So look for your opportunities early on and look for how things are changing, adapt to those things, and firstly, ask yourself, what am I lacking? What is the impasse in those themes of Aquarius that I just mentioned? So just to remind you, technology, social connections, social networks, the people that you know. What else did I mention? I can't think of anything else right now, but it'll come to us. I have so much to say. So Pluto in Aquarius is sort of the antidote. It brings us to the correct groups. It gives us new technologies for us to advance and to make things more accessible. Okay, the point number 2. So pay attention to what you lack the most, especially on the heels of Pluto and Capricorn, that may have drained you because it was so extreme. So if you got really stuck in a job you hate and you're all alone and life is really difficult right now, but you've made a lot of money, Pluto in Aquarius will be the antidote to your heart's ache. It will, but it might take some time. The transit is 20 years. I didn't tell you guys like the basic stuff because I'm guessing you've heard it elsewhere. So I'm just explaining the February transits and the kind of a brief intro, or how I think Pluto in Aquarius conceptually is good to think about and to understand as it begins. So number 2, Pluto in Aquarius will challenge us to be independent. So it is the house of groups and social connections and friends, but who thrives in it are independent thinkers. And so if you are a person of ritual, of rigor, Capricorn energy maybe, you like you like having a boss, you like being delegated to, this is an energy in which you really want to adjust your skill set to be ready for independence and so to be more autonomous. People who are very autonomous, who set their own schedules, who need to do what they want to do when they want to do it, then they are going to thrive. In fact, we're going to see how independent people are going to be the leaders in the next 20 years. And we will see people like this, oddball people, pop up everywhere with ingenious ideas and, kind of ways to empower us and teach us all. So the second point is to look for and to get ready for, and a personal adjustment that you may want to make is your ability to be independent and not rely on outside sources for anything. That doesn't mean you will be alone. It just means that the more that you'll be able to be alone, the more that you can thrive on your own, the less dependent you are on others, the more you'll be ready for this change that's happening. And so the third one, in my opinion, the third kind of vibe that I'm trying to share with you, to me is the most important. I already mentioned groups and social relationships. To me, Pluto in Aquarius will be a lot about social connections and how those social connections teach us and elevate us to new heights, how they improve us, how they make us better. And so there's a story I wanted to share with you, and it's an ancient story. Many of you guys will know it. It's from the Epic of Gilgamesh, which is a, 3,000-4,000 year old story. So the Epic of Gilgamesh is about a king named Gilgamesh, and he is a brave warrior. He conquers everything. He has no match. He has a big ego. He just goes and conquers. That's his thing. But the gods think that he's too in his ego and they want to humble him. They want to shake things up for him a little bit. And so they create a wild man called Enkidu. And Enkidu lives in the steppe. The steppe is like the grasslands. So he's like a wild man. He's not civilized at all, but he is very attuned to nature. So Gilgamesh meets Enkidu. They begin to fight. And one of the things about Gilgamesh is that he has no equal. And so Enkidu is created to be his equal. So they fight, and Gilgamesh notices, hey, I'm not winning like I expected to be. But he's not a sore loser. So he's like, okay, this guy is cool, so we can be friends. And so he befriends him, and they become best friends. So this king, who is this brave warrior, becomes best friends with a wild man who is uncivilized, but really attuned with nature. And so they are like a yin and a yang. Opposites attract. They benefit together from each other's strengths. They are a match, and they are a match in strength, and they have complementary weaknesses and strengths. They really mirror each other. And so they go on adventures and all these things. But the important thing of this story is that Gilgamesh becomes open to the world through Enkidu's energy, and Enkidu becomes civilized from being associated with Gilgamesh. And so at the end, Enkidu actually loses his life, and Gilgamesh is sent on yet another journey. He decides that he wants to find immortality, and that continues the story forward. But the important part here is that he is transformed by his relationship with this very different, very weird man who is in his life for a period of time, and his mindset is elevated. So much so that at the end, he looks for a fulfilling life's quest of finding immortality. He has changed as a person. He's no longer looking to just conquer and, beat people's skulls in. He's looking for a full life, extended life. He's looking to diversify his experience. And so to me, the relationship between these two is very Pluto in Aquarius, because it signifies that relationship with other people that we benefit from. Another inspiration from this story to me is that when Enkidu passes away, Gilgamesh is sent on another journey. And this gives us a life lesson. The life lesson is that people come into our lives and don't take them for granted. They may be weird, they may be different, they may be hard to get along with at first. However, you never know how long that person will be in your life. Open yourselves up to these new relationships. So if you want to be successful with Pluto in Aquarius, the sooner you catch on to the opportunity of friendship and the opportunity of meeting people that can transform you, the more powerful this transit will be. I think you'll see you will gain a lot and have a lot of opportunities for change. Okay, so now let's talk about the 3 dates. It's not too much, and so let's just talk about them. So first we have today, January 20th and 21st. And so this is the conjunction of Pluto and the Sun. Here, Pluto and the Sun in Aquarius. So Pluto is entering Aquarius at 5 p.m. Pacific time. The Sun has already entered Aquarius. It's Aquarius season. Happy birthday, weirdos. I hope you're doing well. And so they actually formed their conjunction earlier today or yesterday in Capricorn at 29 degrees 59 minutes or 58 minutes. And so when Pluto enters Aquarius, technically it's still a conjunction, but this is where we want to be specific when doing astrology. The Sun is separating from Pluto at this point. So it's a conjunction, but it's one in which the energy is separating. So it's still very relevant. So Pluto and the Sun enter into Aquarius, one right after the other. That's a very eloquent, beautiful type of astrology. I've been talking to you guys about 0 degrees of Aquarius for quite some time. And last year I showed you several different transits, including the conjunction of Jupiter and Saturn at 0 degrees Aquarius that happened in 2020. And so this set off a planetary cycle of Jupiter and Saturn, but there's much more to this degree. And so this fact that there's so many different transits that are joining together at 0 degrees Aquarius is emblematic of this being a very important transit that will have a huge influence on us for a long time. And I'll talk to you guys about the mundane astrology in another video or another time that we can talk. So remember, they join together. The 0 degree is the anaretic degree. You've probably heard a lot about this. This is the starting point. So while Pluto is in the 0 degree, which is going to be a long time, there is going to be a lot of things, echoes that are showing up and showing us what this transit will be like. I haven't been watching the news, so I'm not being picky here, but one piece of news that caught my eye, the only piece of news I've heard today actually, is that Japan just landed on the moon, and I'm like, oh, that's very Aquarian. But then I learned something about that landing that's even more interesting. It wasn't just a general landing. Typically, when we've landed on the moon until today, it was kind of a plop. Wherever you land, you're lucky. That's the spot you take. However, this landing was not just a plop. it was specific. So they had the technology to pinpoint the position, the coordinate that they land in. And so that was the technological advancement that we saw right off the bat. So look at your life, see what's happening. You don't have to rush, but with the Sun and Pluto together, the conjunction, you may get a good insight of what this energy is all about. So precision landings, but for you, maybe you landed something else that you're excited about. So I don't want to be negative, but I need to show you this observation. These transits at 0 degrees Aquarius are actually squaring Jupiter with a wide orb. Now this first transit with the Sun and Pluto is not so strong. It's 6 degrees separation. But the next transits that we talk about, they will become more and more precise or closer to a square. So what I'm trying to show you with these transits is that there's a continuum from this conjunction that will lead us right into mid-February, late February. So pay attention to that. There will be a series of experiences that you're going to have right now that are going to illuminate Pluto in Aquarius for you to help you understand where things are going. Another thing to consider, and again, not being negative, but just I'm trying to save you some heartache. There are some nuances of Pluto in Aquarius that have to do with relationships. We've talked about the friendship between Gilgamesh and Enkidu. But there are more like the personal relationships, romance, those kinds of things. So Mars is in the 12th degree of Capricorn. Uranus is at the 19th degree of Capricorn. And Lilith is at the 12th degree of Virgo. That's a Grand Trine. And it's applying because Lilith and Mars are moving towards Uranus. There could be a potential of some fighting with people close to you at this time. One of the things I haven't mentioned yet is as Pluto switches into Aquarius, you will notice a significant change with the way people interact or act. So it's a good time to be very receptive to their behavior. So don't put out so much energy. Listen to the people around you. Listen how they've changed. Listen what they are expressing. Listen to how they're talking, what they want, because what they wanted in Pluto and Capricorn is going to be different now. And so your relationships with others are changing. And so even though this isn't a direct astrological relationship, there could be a causal relationship here in which there could be some fighting or frustration that people are expressing, and if you're not paying attention to it and it catches you off guard, then you can pull yourself into some arguing with others. And since there's a series of transits conjunct Pluto, that energy could extend right until the third week of February, and you don't really want to do that. Overall, this is a positive transit. We're starting off on a nice trine to the moon in Gemini, so it is a very nice energy to begin this whole 20-year transit. And so, like I said, light square to Jupiter, just be careful. Light square to Jupiter, maybe I should explain what I mean by that. Some of the things that are oncoming may feel inherently threatening or uncomfortable or worrisome. So people, yourself or others, may worry about how this will all unfold. So maybe you're hearing about Japan landing on the moon. It's just a funny example. And you're like, I don't know about that, Varush. There will be events that will be more personal or more triggering than that. But basically, some of the things that are being introduced right now you may feel tenuous towards. You may feel like, I don't know about this. It's going to work out. It's going to be fine. Don't worry. Okay, so now point number 2 about dates. And you can write these down, or maybe I'll make a post somewhere so you guys can see. Okay, so there are 3 major transits. These are not rare. They're common. but they consist of inner planets transiting over the 0 degrees of Aquarius, which they do every year. But because Pluto's here, it's just like one after the other. So we have Mercury on February 5th, Mars on February 14th, and then Venus on February 17th. This is almost like a domino effect from now. And this is why you want to be really aware of Mars and Capricorn and this square, this grand trine between Lilith with misunderstandings, unexpected events with Uranus and Mars, which is possibly arguing or fighting. You just want to be careful that you don't tip the energy in a chaotic direction because a lot is in flux. And then as Mercury, Venus, and Mars transit over this position, you want to gain benefit from this energy. Okay, we also will get a Venus-Mars conjunction at the end. Do I have this? No. We have Venus-Mars conjunction. There it is. Oh, no, that's not it. Well, this is as close as we're going to get it. This is the moon. But there's going to be a Venus-Mars conjunction in Aquarius on the 21st of February. And this is going to be squaring Jupiter. So this is why Jupiter is already important, even though the orb is so wide. It's going to, if you don't react well to the things that are happening, this may catapult with a lot of turbulence for you, especially on an emotional level, because the moon and Venus are involved. And since I showed you this chart already, let me show you this right now. That conjunction is very similar to the conjunction in March 2022, in which Venus and Mars formed 3 conjunctions in Capricorn, 2 in Aquarius. And so this is a parallel to that time. So look back to February, March 2022, and then look at whatever's going on now. That might give you a clue as to what's happening in your life, okay? So I want to go through each transit in terms of how it's going to play with Pluto or interact with Pluto. So Mercury's going to conjunct Pluto first. It's going to conjunct Pluto on February 5th. This is a favorable aspect. The moon will be in a favorable position at that time. I think it's Sagittarius. And so what you're going to want to do is really pay attention around February 5th. Listen to what people are telling you. Listen what you're finding out. Just be a big antenna. The world will tell you things. So listen. That's what Mercury conjunct Pluto give you insights into the things that you're dealing with. Second, we have Mars on the 14th. So this is just a reminder that Mars and Venus are forming a conjunction on the 21st. This is the first conjunction that's going to directly lead into that conjunction on the 21st. And so think back to March 2022 or late February and see if there's a continuum of events. Because it's Mars and Venus, really think about your relationships. Think about your relationships with others. Another aspect of Pluto in Aquarius is the relationship between men and women. And I'm not being heteronormative. I'm just stating the fact that relationships between men and women have become very strained under Pluto in Capricorn. Women have been devalued and misogyny has become a meme. And so therefore, it has caused a lot of tension in relationships. Our old ways of having relationships with each other do not fit anymore. And the new ways in which we have relationships has to be adopted. So when Pluto enters Aquarius, I think a big feature of this will be this new transformation of the heterosexual relationship dynamic of how the two sexes relate to each other. This doesn't apply to other orientations, and by no means am I excluding you. It just specifically is relevant for misogyny, sexism, the way that women are viewed and they're treated. And so the relationship that is produced outside of that dynamic, okay? So the conjunction between Mars and Venus on the 21st and this conjunction of Mars on the 14th on Valentine's Day and Venus on the 17th is a really good prelude to, I think, a lot of social dynamics that are going to change between men and women in romantic relationships. So you want to pay attention to that, okay? And then Venus is last but not least. She's going to join on the 17th to Pluto. And so this is going to be a really full circle event, because on the 17th of February, you are going to see the moon in Gemini again, the same way that it is here today. So the next month is all connected like a big domino board. And so when Venus transits over Pluto, all of those impressions that you're having, both emotional, intellectual, whatever, are going to all come together, and hopefully you will understand. So get your notebooks out, pay attention to what's happening around you so you understand better. The last transit I want to highlight, now this happens before the 17th, that's joining Pluto at 0 degrees Aquarius is the moon. This happens on February 8th, which is one day before the new moon in Aquarius at 20 degrees Aquarius. I want you guys to remember that transit, 0 degrees Aquarius. It's going to be important in the future. But the moon, just like Mercury, just like Venus, is going to give you a really good emotional insight into what to expect. So I hope you guys liked my presentation. 31 minutes, see? I'm more on the ball. Now, where is I can't see you guys. Hold on, where are you? Hi guys. Hello, welcome. So now let's do the all sign. My goal was to do this in 30 minutes, so I've succeeded. Yes. Pluto in Aquarius is doing good things for my speed of delivery. I hope it wasn't too fast. And I hope it wasn't offensive to anyone, but I had fun and I missed everyone. I'm excited to be back. I'm seeing your comments for the first time. So I'm saying, hey girl, hey, hi. I hope it wasn't too much, but I hope it do you guys understand? Let me know in the comments if you understand the gist of what this transit represents. I think it's a good representation. The relationship of Enkidu to Gilgamesh, how they kind of benefit from each other. It's kind of like you guys and me. We make each other strong, and it's a good vibe. And then we have this autonomy, focusing on autonomy as opposed to kind of like answering to authority. It's not anti-authority, it's just autonomy, Aquarian autonomy. And I think the main one really is the improvement of one or two circumstances that are really in the ditch after Pluto and Capricorn. I think Aquarian Pluto is going to come in and give a lot of solutions. I think those solutions are going to involve technologies. Like there's going to be new technologies adapted to solve some key problems. Okay, so just looking at our collective reading, and then we'll get into your individual sign readings. What I see from here is that there's a very quick change that is happening around us at this time. It seems as though there's a combative energy that we missed. It feels like the Pluto exited Capricorn in just the smidge of time, okay? So it's almost like, it was a close one, like something almost happened, but it didn't quite get there. And overall, astrologically, just to share with you guys, my impression is that we're going to have a few close calls coming up over the next decade. And I know that there's a lot of Armageddon talk out there in the world. And I don't mean to discredit anyone or talk against anyone, but I don't think it's happening now. I think what's happening now is a precursor to some really trying times in the future. And if we adjust those things now, if we adjust the problems that we're facing, then the future will look brighter. I think that the astrology in the 2050s and beyond is where there will be saying, oh, in the 20s they did this, and this from this all this stuff happened. So, oh, another great discovery, and I don't mean to scare anyone, but this is my Scorpio humor, is that China apparently discovered a version of coronavirus that is 100% fatal in humanized rats. So, but I found that out in Pluto and Capricorn, so maybe this is part of the energy I'm describing, that we kind of maybe got out of the way of that one in the smidge of time. But that was scary. I was like, what? I'm not implying China's trying to do something, but just hearing that someone's discovered something that's 100% fatal. Pretty scary stuff. Okay, so this reading to me suggests that you're getting away from something in the smidge of time. There was a sense of loneliness and isolation, but that actually turns out to feel like success and like an improvement of situations. So, okay, so let's do the all sign reading. The all sign today is tarot and astrology. I'd like to zoom in because I like showing you guys the cards. So is this okay? Not too close? Okay. So now let's do your individual sign readings. I'll give you guys basically an introduction into Pluto in Aquarius. This is my blue kyanite. Love it so much. Good for Aquarius, the mind, for good luck. And so, yeah, so I want to give you an introduction on how that hits your chart, but focusing on these new energies we just discussed, okay? All right, so first we have Capricorn. I think that's a good place to start because Pluto has just exited Capricorn. So first, let's take a look at your tarot cards. I'm going to pick 3 tarot cards just for, you know, for fun. Not for fun. I just think I did this with members. If you're not a member, I did this with members on the last reading, and I really liked the format. So we have 10 of Swords. So like I told members last time, basically the 10 of Swords is good. Capricorn is at a low energetically. That doesn't mean low like negative or bad things will happen. It just means that you are at a low energetically. Fewer things. The density is lower. So it's more about that. It's a rest after a very busy period. And so there we go. And so, yeah, it's a down energy a little bit. Okay, so let's see. Okay, so now let's just focus on Pluto in Aquarius. So Capricorn, the energy is quiet. So this is a quiet start for you. 10 of Swords looks very graphic, but it's not actually a card of terrible things. It's actually a relief. It's a card of the crap is over. So whatever you've been dealing with is likely decompressed and done. I think it's very important for you to watch how you assert yourself in the beginning of this transit. So really watch yourself and watch how you are perceiving situations outside of yourself. You may not be seeing everything so clearly, and so something may make you upset. You may react, something unexpected will happen, and then the whole set of dominoes will, you know, tumble over. In terms of the cards, there's some really good things. It seems like a partner or someone you care about is on your side. And so there's someone who's defending you in a situation. Someone's your ally, your friend. And then there's like, outside of yourself, there are certain things that you can't control. There are certain things in this situation you can't control. There are still things unsaid. Be very patient with them. The other thing with this transit, the Mars trine, Lilith and Uranus, I would suggest is don't work on patience with this. So whatever's happening, if you really want to know, don't press the issue. Pull back, just let it happen. Pluto in Aquarius for you is going to be a very benefic, very powerful transit. It's going to bring a lot of opportunities for wealth and growth. There may be a reorientation that's pretty drastic. Everybody's a little bit different. I would say that initially be careful of making large financial decisions. That's just my beginning advice given the astrology right now. Don't take incredible chances right now. If something's too good to be true, it probably is. But also if you're seeing a sale item or something, cheaper of value, you may feel that you'll never find something like this again. Trust me, you will. Just wait until you see how the energy plays out. Okay. So hold on to your money, play it safe. There's a lot of changes for you, especially in the financial aspects of things, but that doesn't mean bad things will happen. It just means that it doesn't mean bad things will happen. It means that you want to be as receptive as possible to the oncoming things. Okay, so here's the next sign. We have Virgo. Hey, Virgos, how's it going? Virgos usually last, but here we go. We have Virgo number 2. Let's see how we play out. Virgo, Virgo, Virgo. Sun, moon, and rising, right, you guys? There's a lot of politics about sun, moon, and rising. I stick to sun, moon, and rising. I think it's correct. So I understand all the arguments, but for and against it. But sun, moon, rising. The source is the sun, right? Okay, Virgos, here we go. So, you have some, no, this is the deck. Okay, so hold on. This is the card. So I guess Bianco Nero Tarot. It's a little promo. It's a beautiful deck, so I'm happy to read. I think it's a very Aquarian deck, so that's why I pulled it. Virgos, you guys got the moon. And then we have the 7 of Cups. Ooh, there's mysteries. You want to know more. Sun and Pluto enter your 6th house, Virgo, today. Okay, so something you want to know. This is my intuitive from the cards. You want to know something about a situation. A situation is elusive. It's hiding its true nature. I really feel strongly to tell you to not go snooping around. The situation will work out in your favor. You will be elevated. And you run the risk of mucking things up if you try to solve the puzzle. I don't know if the situation itself is positive or not, but there's a guarantee that there's an outcome that is positive or empowering, enlightening, lifting you up. But I sense that you are very, very nosy. That you really, really, really want to know what's going on in those clouds in the 7 of Cups and what's going on in the moon. And something important to you, and you're like, I need to know, but don't try to find out. Things will evolve on their own. Today's intro for Pluto is just a little snip of all the energies. It's not all of them. It's just a few of the highlights that I think are important. But one of the tropes, I think, or the metaphors or the energies of Pluto in Aquarius, in my opinion, is Pluto in Capricorn is much more self-directed, while Pluto in Aquarius is much more let it flow and accept the energy that is coming to you, accept the energy that the universe is asking you to interact with. So it's much less I will set the pace and much more I receive and I deal with whatever the universe has given. And for Virgos, and this is maybe basic for some of you, but I think it's important to recognize that Pluto in Aquarius is a shift in energy away from a trine in Capricorn that began in 2009. So you may be very familiar with the, just keep at it, keep doing it, keep trying to achieve, set your goals, set an agenda, very rigorous kind of style of Pluto in Capricorn. And now you're being asked to take a step back. This energy won't be hard for you because you are the service sign. So you're good at receiving energy. But I think that it's also very helpful to just pay attention, because you might be so used to Pluto and Capricorn that like just go slow, you know? So self-directed, good, but setting too much of a directive or setting a precedent or really trying to set your mark in like a very assertive way, not so much. You have to kind of allow the universe to sort of go give its opinion, and then you can respond or react. Okay, so much that's another big change, and we'll talk about that in other videos. Okay, so here is the next sign. So these are like, I think, more like tips and a little bit of intuitive, you know, whatever. So Scorpio's next. Ooh, the different cards are coming up than they have been in the past readings. Okay, Scorpio. Hey, Scorpio, how's it going? First, let's take a look at your cards. Okay, so Scorpio, we have the Strength card. And then we have the Queen of Swords. And then we have the 10 of Wands. Okay. Well, this combination to me tells me that you're in for a challenge. Somebody has put a demand on you, or has directed you to go in a particular direction. And so under the influence of the Queen of Swords, and this could be a man or a woman, possibly an air sign type person, you are meant to go in some direction. You start this transit with a lot of strength, a lot of personal power, a lot of empowerment from the previous set of experiences. And someone around you is saying, hey, go in this direction, Scorpio. And it's going to be a lot of work. But there's a reason why you are taking this route, taking this direction. Let's take a look at your conjunction. So you're one of the transits that's very important, because the conjunction is happening at your IC. So a conjunction of the Sun and Pluto, and then all the other transits at 0 degrees Aquarius, I think is very important, because the Sun over Pluto for you will shine a light on a lot of childhood features that you have been left with. Childhood traumas, lowercase traumas. I'm not trying to trigger anyone or psychoanalyze anyone here. It's just astrology and tarot. But it's getting at the root of the problems or root of childhood experiences that you may have felt left on your lap. And so this conjunction is very helpful for you to understand where things are coming from. So pay attention. And like I said in the intro, from the beginning, from now until February 17th, you have a series of transits that are going to enlighten you into those core things. Also, you will have awareness brought to you about issues to do with family, why someone behaved a certain way, why the nature of a relationship is a certain way. Because it's in the anaretic degree, pay attention to that, because that dynamic between yourself and that person is probably emblematic of a deeper trope or a deeper metaphor of Pluto in Aquarius. So the nature of your relationship, let's say someone's being unkind to you. If the nature of your relationship is that lack of kindness, you want to pay attention to that, because Pluto in Aquarius may mirror that, and it will be up to you to learn and adjust. So rather than struggling with Pluto in Aquarius for years with people disrespecting you, take it upon yourself to nip it in the bud so you don't have those relationships moving forward. Okay? So it's an awareness point tied to your childhood about how people treat you. It may have to do with your father. It may have to do with your family. It may have to do with coercive things, like people being nice to you, but not actually like manipulating, you know, for duplicitous motivations. But also those relationships, because remember, we're talking about relationships in a big scope here. Those relationships are going to really teach you over the next 20 years and really address, how do I say this? Empower you to have wonderful relationships. So really don't be afraid. Take a look at what is being presented and don't be wishy-washy and don't pull away from what you're learning. Deal with it as soon as you can. 2024 is a transition year because we still get a little bit of Pluto and Capricorn at the end of in the fall. And so it's a transition year. And so allow yourself to flow with the transition, okay? It's a lot to take on, but you can get there. Okay, that's wonderful. Okay, so now let's take a look at Sagittarius. Hey Sagittarius, how are you doing? You should watch the beginning because I talked about Pluto in Sagittarius and I brought the tea. You might find that resonant. The Pluto in Sagittarius time was really out of control, you know, and it led into Pluto in Capricorn. This is for everyone if you're watching. And so a lot of the things that we've been left with on a social level really began with mismanagement in Pluto and Sagittarius. It's not your fault as a Sagittarius, but it's just something for you that you may really see, you know, in the world. Okay, here's your tarot cards. So we have the Lovers. Ooh. I pulled 2 cards, and the Emperor. Good things. Good times. Let's switch the sign. Okay. So 3rd house. And then we have the Page of Cups. Okay. Well, this could be a baby. Let's just put it really bluntly. Now, not everybody wants a kid. What did I do? The Magician flipped over. This could very well be a baby. This flipped over on the other side of my deck. This can be looking like a pregnancy. So congratulations if you're a Sag, if this is a message. But definitely romantic energies here, relationships, closeness with someone, some new information, if not a positive pregnancy test, new emotions, romance, just good things, or a child that's really important in the picture. You have the North Node in the 5th house with Chiron and Eris. We'll talk about this in other videos, but that's a very important area of your life. So children, this could be like your partner's children, where you're a step parent or where they're just their kids and you're just, you know, along for the ride. But it's a very loving set of cards. It's suggesting a lot of love, mutual connection, just good energy around you. There may be, if you're single, there may be a person around you who is very stable, a person of values, someone who create stability in your life by being close to them. They may have children and they're so happy in their life that they bring happiness into yours. So like a landlord who is very happy with their own children, their own life, and they bring stability into your life. Something good like that. The reason I said landlord, because we're in the community house of the 3rd house here. So, you know, that's what made me think of that. I think that the thing you want to be careful about, though, at this time, just in the beginning, from today until like the 5th of February, is arguing over money or how things are done. This does not mean that you have something to argue over, but don't get roped into it. There may be lack of clarity in your interaction with others. There may be a lack of clarity or all the information may not be there. And this may cause you to feel very assertive around money issues. And then this may prompt you to kind of jump the gun on reacting. And that would be ill-advised. I think that Pluto in Aquarius in your third house is all about your community participation, interaction with people around you, interaction with people in your neighborhood. So if there are things that are arising for you, Sagittarius, about your neighborhood, about the people that you know, you really want to be aware. So do you have a crazy neighbor? Be very careful of interacting with them at this time. These things could escalate. That's all I'm saying. Don't be afraid. Just live your life, but just be really receptive to your neighborhood and what it brings. The cards are suggesting wonderful things, that there's a wonderful connection. The Lovers is the traditional third house, right? So you have the Lovers, the Emperor, and Page of Cups. All good things for you, Sagittarius. So happy Pluto in Aquarius for you. Okay, so next sign. Okay, let's see. So we have Cancer. Hey, okay. It's like celebration, good times, come on, right? Time to celebrate. So as long as I've done the channel, I've been talking to Cancer about Pluto in Aquarius. And it's been in your 7th house for 14 or 15 flippin' years. And it's been the bane of your existence. And if you're under 35 years old, then you've never had an adult experience without Pluto in Capricorn. So your relationships have been WTF. We can talk about it now. And there may have been extreme imbalances that you navigated in your relationships. And that's not funny. Some of those things could be very troubling. So now Pluto moves into your 8th house. And so in the 8th house, what we're seeing a little bit more of is getting out of the way, the ability to get out of the way of trouble. And with the knowledge, and in the 7th house, you learn how to see trouble coming. And so in the 8th house, there's this, I'm going to get out of the way of problems, get out of the way of trouble. To save you hardship over the next 20 years, I need to give you a piece of advice. I'm not scaring you, but this is what you need to know. Be very careful of financial attachments to other people, such as a marriage. If you get married to someone, separate bank accounts, be careful how you merge your money. Pluto in Capricorn, of course, power dynamics in that respect. Likewise, this is an important thing for us to cover, so I'm not trying to scare you. But in the intimate setting, romance, intimacy with someone, be very careful if anybody is displaying inappropriate levels of aggression in terms of intimacy. I know some people like that type of intimacy, but with Pluto in the 8th house, it's a double-edged sword. So be very careful. I'm not trying to be graphic, but just telling you, if somebody's giving you the vibe that they're going to be aggressive, I would say that's a red flag. Whereas it's not a little thing with Pluto in the 8th house. If they're showing any sign of aggressive tendencies, ones that may seem kind of flirtatious, because you're a Cancer, be very, very careful. And I would say stay away from people like that. And I'm sorry if that's your thing, but I would be careful over, those kinds of flirtations. Okay, so I was trying to be very professional in conveying that, become a member if you want me to hear the dirty version. I'm just kidding. But yeah, so that's the professional, way of explaining that dynamic. So let's see. Page of Pentacles, Virgo, Taurus, Capricorn, secondary transits in Earth. Then we have the 3 of Swords. Okay. Be careful of, if you're around, and you will only know this, but if you're around a person who is younger than you or immature in their demeanor, if they have broken your heart, if you have broken their heart, or maybe broke each other's heart, whatever, it doesn't matter. If their heart is broken, be careful for vengeance. I don't mean to be like warning you, Cancer. This is all coming from really wanting you to do well. So these are not things that will happen. These are the things to watch out for to avoid problems. And not everyone will experience it. But be careful for a vengeful earth sign person. And then we have the Ace of Wands. There's going to be a solution to this situation. This situation may have arisen while Pluto was in Capricorn. And so now it's decompressing, but somebody's holding a grudge. It feels like they're holding a grudge, holding on to things. There's going to be something new that comes in. If it's someone that you cannot get rid of, let's say you had some intimacy with them and now they're attached at the hip and you're not really feeling that, and you don't know how to get away from it nicely because there is that level of, how do I say this, attachment. That person, and this is not for someone who wants to be with this person. This is for someone who wants to get rid of someone. There will be someone else who shows up that takes them off your hands. So there is that coming. Or if somebody was petty with you about money, taking on the, trope or the energy of Pluto in the 8th house in Aquarius. If someone was recently petty with you and money, and it caused you a lot of suffering or sadness, they were immature, right? That's telling us Page. But this Ace of Wands is actually suggesting that there's something better that's coming your way. So there's an antidote to this energy. There is a square to Jupiter that I mentioned in the introduction. Watch the introduction for more nuance to this observation. Be careful of influence of friends until February 17th in your romantic relationships. Be careful of, there may be a tension between you and your friends, between the things that are happening and the things that your friends perceive about your situation. So you may feel that your friends provide resistance to some of the new things that are beginning. And you want to balance that out because they do have good intentions with you in mind. So like they don't like that you date someone. Don't go out with him, they'll say, because they have good intentions. Jupiter's in your 11th house. But there may be a reason if your gut's saying, do it, explore that possibility, then you should follow through with that. But be careful with getting tied up in those two ways. Okay, so now let's try the next sign. That was intense. With Cancer, it's like, and again, I'm not saying any of these things will happen. I'm just saying these are the things I'd watch out for given the astrology, right? Okay, so we have Pisces next. Okay, here we go, Pisces. Let's get weird, everyone. Woo! Aquarius, Pluto's in your 12th house. Hey, girl, hey. How's it going, you guys? Okay, Pluto and the Sun in the 12th house. Well, it's almost your birthday. These are the cards that jumped out. So we have Knight of Wands and Justice. Maybe some of you are getting away from someone that you've had a relationship with. Someone who wasn't really there for you, and now there's a consequence to that. Pluto in the 12th house, I had this transit. When I was a little kid. Just real gnarly experience. Not bad, just like really intense. So I think you're going to have very powerful experience here. I think if you're a Pisces, Sun, Moon, and Rising, I think you're in for a lot of downloads, a lot of insights about the world and the way things are. With the Sun, it will feel uncomfortable, I think. With the Sun, the first transits, all these transits that I talked about in the introduction, they're going to feel uncomfortable. And so bear and grit it. You may see the dark side of relationships, like the Knight of Wands, whatever that was. So you may go through a period of discomfort right now, but that's not a bad thing. It has to happen, and it's going to elevate your awareness and set you free in other ways. especially as Mars and Venus enter the 12th house and have their conjunction on the 21st of February, I think that it is likely that an aspect of your relationships is going to unfold, right? And especially if there's hidden things behind behind the curtain, things that are not clear, that are not evident. If there are hidden things about certain people, they're going to come to the surface, okay? But you're successful, 6 of Wands. That was more of an intuitive read, actually, of this astrology. But the 12th house is so powerful. It's like mind reading. I like your chart right now. I think it's really intense, though. Your chart's very intense in terms of relationships, especially. It's all about, like, you're restricted. You're confined in some way, Pisces. You're confined by the circumstances and you can't say something. You can't say. But you're seeing a deeper understanding to your relationships. And it's their secrets cannot last in front of you now. You see into them. They unravel in front of you. Okay. The cards are beautiful. There's a real deeper understanding between two people. So we have the 6 of Wands, the Emperor, and the 2 of Cups. So there's a very loving connection. There's a very good understanding of where people are coming from. Venus and Mars are joining together in the 12th house. I think I'm sensing a clarification for you in terms of relationships. But then the 12th house, I do think that some of you are going to experience a rude awakening where you've given someone likely a lot of lack. You've given them a lot of, like you've forgiven a lot. And now you realize that maybe it's not for the best. Maybe not. It's not that it's for the best. Maybe you realize that you can do better. But yes, the cards are indicating that there is a very solid connection between you and someone else. And something that you doubted to be true will turn out as a very positive thing. And then we have the 2 of Pentacles. See, that's the juggling. I sensed it. There's like, you're juggling the energy a bit. Okay. So if you're, this is the Emperor card. So if you're dating someone, man or woman, I think they really love you. And I think that they really have sincere feelings for you. There's a stability there and a deep connection. For some of you, this is a new situation because it's the 2 of Cups. So enjoy the beginning of Pluto in Aquarius, Pisces. Okay, so we're halfway through, you guys. Let's pick the next sign. I hope you guys are enjoying this. I had fun. I'm having fun filming it. We have the Libra, Aquarian Libra. The Aquarian Libra coming through. Okay, so hi Libras, how are you doing? Welcome to my channel. Let's take a look at Pluto in Aquarius in your 5th house. So this is the other romantic house. So dynamics to do with relationships are going to be on the rise in your life. This is more the romantic side of things rather than a more settled down connection, which is in the 7th and 8th house. Excuse me. So this is you finding, this is a very 2 of Cups moment in the 2nd house. Pluto in Aquarius in the 5th house, not 2nd house, sorry, in the 5th house, it will likely present you with a lot of strong personalities if you're single in terms of dating or people that you're around. You will be exposed to a lot of strong personalities, like stronger people that take up more space, if that makes sense. The conjunction with the Sun will likely give you an insight into what that represents. And this is followed by the conjunction with Mercury, the conjunction with Mars, the conjunction with Venus, and then the conjunction between Mars and Venus in February 21st, 2024. And so through these transits, including the moon on February 8th, right? And the new moon on February 9th, You're gaining insights. And watch the beginning. I gave other dates, but you're gaining insights into the types of relationships you're going to have. If you have kids, it's likely that they're going to be very demanding through the next 20 years until they're adults. So get ready for that and see what this is a nip it in the bud type of advice. I would say pay attention to what's emerging in terms of their behavior. Every kid has something. And then just adjust to that and as quickly as possible so that it doesn't get out of hand. Nothing terrible, just normal stuff. You know, hyperactive, like what's going on. Make sure that you don't ignore those things and allow them to get out of hand. So pay attention to the types of people that you're interacting with, your children, or if there's romance, be very aware of the types of aspects that this person is bringing. You know, are they very demanding? Are they, are they very focused on themselves? Do they have very little time? This is something to be aware of. With a person who is very aggressive, if you see them being aggressive, if you're getting to know someone, they're being aggressive, I would take that as a red flag and be a little careful. Not quite like for Cancer in the 8th house, but still take heed and caution. A lot of people who experience Pluto through the 5th house go through intense dynamics in relationships. And so you want to make sure that you don't get caught up in something that's going to be heavy. But also, on a positive note, people fall deeply in love with Pluto in the 5th house. It's a very passionate transit. So I think you're up for some opportunities in love. Okay? So let's see your 3 cards. We have the Magician. Okay. That's not bad. Maybe the advice from the beginning of what is your life lacking? There's the Knight of Wands. What is your life lacking the most? What is the thing that Pluto and Capricorn just drained the crap out of you? I'll tell you guys flat out what this is. This is not to be disparaging. This is not to be negative. This is to give you some sound advice so you avoid problems. Be careful of cheating men and be careful of not just cheating men, cheating people, sorry. Be careful of people who love and run if that's not what you want. Be careful of, people that are not committed, that are not committed oriented if that's not what you want. If you don't want commitment, that's fine. But the 3 of Swords is suggesting that maybe there's a dissatisfaction around it. So both the Magician and the Knight of Wands suggest intimacy, and the 3 of Swords, a bit of a disappointment. If you find yourself in a romantic, exciting situation, but you really want a relationship, I would really take a look at that relationship right now to make sure that you don't get hurt. Okay? So I'm not saying you will get hurt. I'm just saying be careful, of that romance. Okay? Just make sure it's okay. Okay. So, next sign. Whew. I got a little tickle in my throat, but I'm okay. So, next we have Leo. Meow, meow, Leo. Ooh, Leo. There's a lot going on for Leo right now. You didn't think so? Yep, there is. Okay, hi Leos, welcome. 7th house, here we go. So if you have transits in Cancer, you may have heard me counsel Cancer through Aquarius, Pluto in Capricorn for a long time. Pluto in your 7th house does not necessarily resonate in the same way as it did for Cancer in their 7th house. Different energy. And so Pluto in Aquarius for you, it does provide certain qualities such as absenteeism, partners who may not be around a lot, who are unavailable, have little time. But it's not as devastating as Cancer. So if you've heard me talk about Pluto in the 7th house, don't be afraid that your life, it's going to be terrible. It's not going to be terrible. And so Pluto has entered the 7th house I would right away look at the state of your relationships, the relationships with your boss, the relationship with your partner. What are they telling you? One of the things of Pluto in Aquarius that I haven't mentioned in the intro, but it's good to know, we'll talk about it later, but since it's come up for you, I want to tell you now. It's very important to be cognizant of the fact that there's an energy switch that's going to cause people to react differently to you. So people will react to you differently. They really will. They will, the way it's been in Capricorn, maybe more consistent, more defined, more stable. It's much more fluid now. So you may make assumptions, or we all may, but for you in the 7th house, about the way people will react or interact with you. And those assumptions may simply be assumptions. So Pluto in Aquarius, really get aware of how the vibe is now. And everybody's going to change a little different. They're going to want different things. Some people will want more space. Some people will want you to go on adventures with them. So this isn't all negative. This might actually, someone who was unavailable before may suddenly call you up and say, hey, let's go on adventures together. And suddenly you have like a travel buddy friend for, 20 years or so. So it's not all negative, and it's not in a bad direction. People are just going to be very different. And so what this means for you in the 7th house is that some of the people you're really close with, suddenly you may not be as close to them. Alternately, some of the people that you didn't think you would be close to, maybe like your boss, suddenly you're best friends and working together is great. So this will happen across all your one-on-one relationships. For me, 7th house is always about the one-on-one. It's that person that you have this special connection with, a shared goal, a shared direction, okay? So it's any relationship, best friend, partner, boss. It's like the person who, it's not about the group, it's not about the family, it's not about the circle of friends. It's about you and them with a certain goal or direction, okay? So let's see your card. So we have the moons coming up everywhere. That Gemini moon that is happening right now and then will happen again in February 17th when Venus is conjunct Pluto. I think there's going to be a lot of full circle in relationships. I talked about this in the intro if you want to know more. But I think that there's going to be a lot of full circle, like, aha, that's what that was about. So be patient until February 17th. Queen of Pentacles, Virgo, Taurus, Capricorn. Doesn't have to be a woman. She's sitting there waiting. I have the extra cards in here. I didn't intend for them to be, but let's pull another card. We have the 7 of Swords. Yeah, Moon in Aquarius. I have Moon in Aquarius, Seven of Swords. This is the shadow side of what's happening. There's a good element and a shadow side. The good element is that Aquarian energy is really good at understanding what other people need. And so you will see partners who can deliver for you what you need. The shadow side is sometimes people don't understand why Aquarians leave when they do. Not permanently, but just when they're not available. And Aquarians are not very good at explaining that. And I'm not saying you will be with an Aquarian, but that's the energy. So throughout the next 20 years, one of the things that may come up is that your partner or that one-on-one relationship may flip on a dime or change or go in a different direction that's unexpected for you. And that may be perceived as, being left behind, ghosting, or something else. It's not always that way. But here what I see is someone who's sitting there on their throne, Queen of Pentacles, and she has a secret, feelings about a situation. This could be you actually, Leo. Secret feelings about a situation that keep on growing and that are of a pulling away nature. And so someone secretly they're waiting for things to change, but I have a feeling that things are growing apart between you and someone. And again, I'm not being disparaging. I'm trying to identify the energy. One of the things to be aware of, though, is Mars, Lilith, and I said this in the intro, but it matters for you, and Uranus in the 10th house may produce in the beginning of this transit, so the first month, January to February, some unexpected changes that we are reactive to. This is for collective. And you may be worried about money. I'm not saying there's a reason to be. In fact, with Lilith, this suggests that it's a fear rather than a concrete reason to be afraid. And so people may, out of worry, when someone's not being communicative, like a boss or a coworker, think of the worst in this situation. So it's really important to not feed into that worry or fear. It's likely going to be different once these transits pass. So in order to avoid catastrophe or a worse situation, do not feed into anxiety or worry about it, such as asking them, are you okay? Are you okay? That's just going to cause, them to dip. This isn't forever. This is just you settling into the 7th house, which suggests that some relationships will change. So don't be upset. It's maybe a little bit more of a turbulent landing, but maybe some things need to get pushed out of your way for better dynamics to emerge. Okay? And like I said in the beginning, I think with Pluto transit in general, but specifically with this one, the quicker that you are up for the change between Capricorn and Aquarius, the more successful you will be. The more adaptive, the more like, oh, this is how things are now. And in the beginning, I described for you guys that change. So, okay, so let's pick a next sign. Aquarius. Hey, girl, hey. So how goes it, Queen Bee? How did you get? How are you feeling? Hey, girl, hey. Okay, Aquarius. So, Pluto going over your ascendant, if this is for your rising sign, it's a bit of a gong show. What do we have here? We have the Hierophant. Ooh, Taurus. Okay, insights. Now, this is squaring Jupiter in Taurus in your 4th house. So there may be a tension between things that are going on for you in the 1st house and things in your environment. Neither one is wrong, but they're somehow at odds with each other, and there's a tension there. But that's not the focus. If you want to know more about Jupiter in Taurus at 6 degrees, Taurus, watch the beginning. I explained it there. And I explained all the transits and how they interact. Pluto in the 1st house. Well, you went through an energetic low for the last couple years. You went in a dip and you're on your way back up. Well, on your way back up. So it should be feeling much better now that has passed or that has moved on. Pluto is a giant surge of energy. And suddenly you feel even more, not detached, maybe detached, but I think of Aquarius in this way. I think of Aquarius, and this is for sun, moon, and rising. Up there in the sky, and there's clouds in the sky in my vision of your sign, okay? There's clouds in the sky and there's stars. And there's like moon, sun somewhere. There's a source of light, but it's not the point. And the sky is like beautiful, fluffy clouds, and there's Aquarius walking through them. This is literally how I see your sign. This is my archetype for you. This is my vision for you. Maybe the next thumbnail, I'll make a thumbnail that looks like that, so you guys can understand my vision. But so it's the wandering element of your sign, kind of wandering the universe, just looking for a place. There's a sense of alienation there, or not alienation. Well, alienation, but also absence or like etherealness, that there's not any one specific place where you exist. But then there's also a element of synchronicity and things happening on their own time, this magical time that no one can predict and no one can contain. It's ethereal. It's very ethereal. There's no fear. There's no bad feelings. There is a little bit of lonesomeness because sometimes you're wandering out there in the world and there's nothing to anchor to, nothing tangible. But then once you realize why you were wandering, then it becomes solid. And then you understand why you settled down in the way why you were there, and it makes sense. It's like, oh, then the calm comes in. And so Pluto suddenly gives you that feeling of I need to go, or I need to go somewhere. I would suggest that before you start your next life journey, you see the whole trajectory of Venus, Mercury, Mars, and the moon transit this location. See what's happening in the world. See if you feel the same way. Take a lot of notes. Write down notes and observations. And so Jupiter, what I want to say in the 4th house, there could be opportunities to do with the home, but I have a feeling that you have an itch to go somewhere. You have an itch to maybe travel. This doesn't have to mean that you need to move or you need to go somewhere really far, but there's this, suddenly you are once again focusing on some indistinct direction, and you don't really know what that direction is yet. You just want to go wander emotionally, mentally, or physically out there. And that need will really grow. And maybe whatever you're coming to realization about as the sun joins Pluto, that travel, that walking amongst the clouds and the stars somewhere, you'll find your way. Okay, so let's see your cards. We have the Knight of Swords. Yeah, there's an urgency, like I need to go. And then we have delays. I'm telling you, you need to wait. Okay. And then we have the 4 of Pentacles. Yeah, it might be like a monetary reason. I'm not saying you're going to not have money. I'm just saying that there's some kind of a reason why maybe you should wait and see. So wait a month or whenever you're watching and make sure that maybe there's an opportunity to make money where you're at for now. And so maybe you want to stick, but you feel the need to, just leave or go towards some, but you hold back. There's a delay. There's a monetary reason why there's a delay. And I think you're satisfied. Okay. So there's something that's not moving for you, but that stagnation is something that it goes, I think that's that Jupiter, right? Like it's giving you benefit, but like you have 20 years. So don't worry, you're fine. You have 20 years to wander the galaxy. Okay. Okay, let's see the next sign. We have Taurus. Hey, Taurus. I think there's a lot up for Taurus that's coming up. Well, we have like all these conjunctions and all of these other things going on, but it's a big year for Taurus. Over the years that I've done this reading, Taurus, I wouldn't say that you were the sign that had the most happening in your astrology, to be honest. I mean, Uranus is a big deal, right? Jupiter is a big deal. It's not a bad thing. It just feels as though your energy has not necessarily been extreme. And I'm not saying you're not extreme or you're not fun or dynamic. I'm saying that the astrology for you has not been as extreme as for other signs. I don't recall being like, Taurus, this is over the top. There have been some. There's been some eclipses, right? And stuff like that. Okay, so Taurus, sun, moon, and rising. Your event is happening right at the top of your chart. this is an ascendant, excuse me, not an ascendant. This is an ascent to a certain level of power, clarity of your life force, the direction that you're taking. If it's the moon, then it's like you really feel like you're going in the right direction. If it's your sun, then your world is manifesting around you a lot of things that are in alignment to your strengths, to your personal strengths. And if it's your rising sign, then you may be really taking a certain type of route in a direction that's going to put you at the center of things. Pluto transit through your 10th house is going to be amazing for your career. It's going to put you in a lot of powerful positions. A lot of people who I speak with who have transits of Pluto in the 9th and 10th house are CEOs, or they're extremely successful business people. It's just first, 9th or 10th house. Very common. It's one of these transits that's not amiss. Sometimes people have that transit and they're organized volunteers or they're stay-at-home moms. But when you talk with them, they run that ship also very, well. So this transit of Pluto in your 10th house has a lot to do with your career. It's going to take some time for it to adjust, but you've already been working your way up to it with all the transits in Capricorn. So this is a continuation of what's already been happening, I think. If anything, there's a promotion, or maybe you finished your a graduate degree and now you're moving higher and forward. So there's like an elevation. Okay, so let's take a look at your cards. So we have the King of Cups, Pisces, Cancer, Scorpio. Scorpio is your 7th house, so this might have to do with relationships. We have the 6 of Pentacles, Moon in Taurus. And we have the 2 of Swords, Moon in Libra. There's a decision to be made about a relationship, I think. I think the financial stuff is okay. Like, you've either figured out your mutual finances, but there's still some decisions to be made. I think the question is, do you let them in? Do you let in that dynamic? I think there's a question mark there. And I don't think it's quite clear whether or not you want to yet. I wouldn't risk a transit. I'm never going to have this transit in my lifetime. So I'm envious of you. This is just, I never did. I never will. And so all I will say is I wouldn't risk it. The things that are coming for, I wouldn't risk it for a relationship. I just wouldn't. Especially unless it's like one where I'm 100% in. It's like if there's a question mark scenario, this transit, Pluto, and then it just feels like there's just such a possibility of success for you there. These transits, Venus, Mercury, and Mars, that are going to transit in February over Pluto, and the Sun, and the Moon in Gemini in the 2nd house. The Moon is in Gemini for the solar conjunction and for the Venus conjunction. Hopefully by February 17th, if not February 20th or 21st, that's when Mars and Venus join in Aquarius. Hopefully that will give you an idea of what's coming for you, what opportunities. Pay close attention, because I think that there's a little bit of a decision about your relationships, okay? I feel like it's a trade-off a little bit. And so my bias is to dump the person and go after your fame, your future. Your fame and future is still coming anyway, but I just think that it looks so personally empowering, so much luck. Okay, so here is the next sign, Aries. Hey, Aries, let's take a look at your chart. I was wondering when you were going to come up. Let's see. Aries, Sun, Moon, and Rising. Okay, so for you, this is 11th house Not bad. So all those things that I mentioned about Enkidu, relationships, group dynamics, all of those things really apply for you. But you have the natural chart, right? You have the chart that is aligned with like the way that we organize the horoscope in a natural way. So this is how that expresses itself. But you do want to listen to the general readings, probably from most astrologers, to understand the transit. I think that you will gain powerful insights. It's very lucky to have an Aries chart because you get that collective message really applies to you. So if you have Sun, Moon, Rising, Aries, it always applies to you. So this is all that nuance about relationships and growing and, you know, all those different features of, you know, being empowered by the people you meet, not taking people for granted, just like Gilgamesh not taking for granted his friend. He never did. It's not a story about he took him for granted and then, but it just gives the impression that like people may leave and so they may push you to a new high and then in life, and then they may leave. So you need to not miss the opportunity, right? And so Sun and Pluto, pay attention to who's around, who's reaching out, where things are going, where things are happening. As the Sun transits Pluto, Mars, Venus, Mercury, and the Moon, it's all going to elevate you and elevate your relationships. Okay, so let's take a look at a tarot reading for your sign. Okay, so we have 10 of Wands. And then we have the Queen of Pentacles. And finally, the Eight of Swords. I think that you're struggling with a relationship. There's a weight and a heaviness there that's hard for you to manage. And you're trying to figure out how to make the situation work. And I think that there's a solution. We know the Eight of Swords, there's a castle, but there are a lot of things around it. One of the things that I think create problems is when you speak things into reality. So, you know, if you don't like Susie and you mention that to your mutual friend Anna, then you will ultimately have to account for what you said about Susie, right? So the swords to me in this instant represent things that people say that ultimately bind them to the situation that is. So maybe this is advice to like be careful. A lot of the messages right now for Pluto are like, be careful before you speak, be careful before you act, just really get adjusted to this transition energy. So for you, I think this revolves around speaking out of frustration and then possibly creating for yourself an impasse, right? But there is definitely a weight. There is a person, male, female. I don't really read the cards gendered. But a Queen of Pentacles can be an earth sign, a Virgo, Taurus, Capricorn. And so, yeah, be careful. Be careful with how you define your impressions of a situation. Be careful of how you define your impressions of a situation, because those words will bind you. Whether it's a group or whether it's a person or whether it's your impressions of, you know, something. Speaking your mind with carefully now, so that later you don't find yourself surrounded with all these statements that you've made that could potentially compromise a solution that would be much easier had you not said anything. Okay? So that's an interesting one. Pluto in the 11th house or Aquarius is so interesting, you guys. And this isn't just for Aries. And I'm so excited to tell you more about that. I know I did a 30-minute video intro today, but I could talk about, like, listen, Pluto in the 11th house, Pluto in Aquarius, I could do like a long video explaining to you guys the energy. There's so much to it. It's very interesting. Okay, so Gemini, last but not least, hello. Let's see your transits for Pluto in Aquarius. We made it. It's a first video in a long time. So excited to be back. This is a general video. It will be available for everybody to watch. I hope you guys are having fun. Welcome to our new member. Hi, Connie. I've missed you. Oh, I've missed you so much, my girl. Thank you for watching. Okay, so Connie helps with the channel so often. I haven't asked her. She just does it. She has been giving a lot of positive energy to the channel and to me. So thank you, Connie, for that. Welcome to Pluto in Aquarius. Okay, Gemini. So we have the transit beginning in the 9th house for you. This is an end to a lot of volatility, specifically between 2019 and 2020. Remember, that was quite intense. It's been years now, but that was quite a... I told you guys, I thought this, out of all the signs, I think Gemini, Sun, Moon, and Rising had like the biggest transit of the Capricorn stuff. In the 8th house, Pluto and Saturn, like that was bonkers. So congratulations, now Pluto has moved on. It's really moving past that energy. In the beginning of the video, I told you guys about how this astrology is actually mirroring 2022, February or March. So you may want to look back to February, March 2022 and see if, you know, any particular things attached to the transitions you've been having in your life kind of parallel things that are coming up now. Those parallels, they're closing out now. It's the end of that. So it's not necessarily that new terrible things will come up. This is the antidote to the things that have happened. The imbalances, the chaos, the shakiness, right? Now Pluto enters Aquarius in your 9th house. I think that this is, just said this to Taurus, Pluto I'll never have this in my chart, but Pluto in the 9th and 10th house is absolutely one of my favorite transits. I think it makes people so cool and so like take charge, take over the world. Not in a weird way, like CEO, boss, you're doing great in the world. So, you know, if you have a Gemini moon, this is going to be your emotions. You're going to be like, let me at it. Let me at life. I can win. It's going to be great. If you have a Gemini sun, I think that this is going to be just your reality. It's just positions of power, success, lots of work, but you have the energy to do it. It's very good. And if you have a rising sign, this is the directions that you're going to take, the inspirations that guide you, how your personality sort of plays out, how you interact with how your life interacts with base reality. Okay. And so we have Pluto and the sun, exciting, in your 9th house. I think you're one of the signs that I think this is really, really beautiful for. And I would really pay attention, watch the beginning because I explained the astrology in detail, but you really want to wait for that Mars and Venus conjunction. That's really nice for you in the 9th house. It's like, it might inspire you to take a detour or go a certain direction. Really, really exciting. Yeah, that nice conjunction may seem or feel similar, have similar themes to March 2022. There was a triple conjunction there, but I explained that in the beginning in the astrology part. Okay, guys, let's take a look. Last one. Woo, we made it. It was so fun. Okay, so Emperor, this was really good, you guys. Thank you for all the nice comments. I'll read them later. And then the 3 of Swords. For many Geminis, this was this like somebody put you through heck and then finally you left, you know. I didn't want to say that while it was happening so explicitly because that could suggest things. I don't want to, you know, like condition people or, you know, suggest that. But in retrospect, that's what for many of you, somebody close to you, like a partner disappointed you and it was really hard to let go, where they were failing you financially, putting you in risky situations. This isn't the past. This isn't the present. This is the past. And so we have the Eight of Swords. You live with the legacy of a really tumultuous transit. Honestly, this is what this looks like. You're moving past those situations. And so I'm sorry if somebody had compromised you. I'm sorry if somebody had, caused you setbacks, and somebody caused this long-term stress, I would call. But this new beginning will set you in a new direction and will really propel you to new highs and new levels of success. So just pay attention. The other thing that I'll say, and this is just my observation, I don't like Jupiter in the 12th house so much as a transit. I find that it brings a lot of, how do I say, it's like the